All right, I got one question. What the is going on with Tom Aspinall and Jon Jones? I'll tell you what's going on. They are on a collision course. If Jon Jones doesn't realize that what he's doing right now on social media is only making this fight bigger and in even more demand, if he doesn't realize that, then I don't know what to say, because these two are going back and forth on Twitter. Now, I'll go through a little bit of background, and then there's some very interesting tweets from Jon Jones. That's going to be the bulk of the video, and that's where I'm going to give my thoughts. Listen, we know Tom's the interim champ. He wants to become the undisputed champ. We know that Stipe versus Jon Jones is going down. Date to be announced. Of course, Jones has got to recover. He had pec surgery and he also had elbow surgery. Why not two for the price of one? Whilst he's going to be recovering, might as well get the job done, right? So that's what's going on right now. That fight's happening. Simple as that. Tom isn't happy, okay? He's been going on back and forth. Jones has been responding. He started off kind of cordial. Jones even congratulated Tom Aspinall when he won the belt. But since then, things are starting to deteriorate. Tom Aspinall's going after him. He's making these memes. So here's me waiting for a Jon Jones fight. And it shows him aging through the years, getting the grey hairs and all the rest of it. And Jones is starting to bite. Jones is starting to get pissed off. Jones is starting to defend himself where he shouldn't do. Listen, as fighters, we're all proud men, okay? And when somebody discredits us, and not only Tom Aspinall is doing this, other people on Twitter. And I think that's what's really getting under the skin of Jon Jones, right? Tom Aspinall's going to say whatever Tom Aspinall wants to say, but when the fans start, when the public start, when your fans now start to question who you are as a person, as a fighter, of course, that's going to get under his skin. Jon Jones is the greatest of all time. We've never seen another fighter like him. The way that he's ripped through everybody for many generations, beating champion after champion along the way, is phenomenal. But if he beats Stipe Miocic, he has to fight Tom Aspinall. It's as simple as that. So as I say, they're going back and forth, right? And it starts to get a little spicy. Jones says, Tom, you talking about someone's ego running wild is one of the most hypocritical things ever. You literally haven't kept my balls out of your mouth since you won that imaginary championship. Both you and Sergey have 0 championships between your name. It's funny that you actually walk around feeling like a world champion, especially when the actual champion is undefeated and had a flawless last performance. Literally didn't get hit the last time. He's talking about when he fought Cyril Gane. He didn't get hit. He took him down. He won via guillotine pretty quickly. Jones comes back, and here he's actually dropping a bit of a truth bomb here. Jones says, my Stipe fight was booked well before yours came along. You weren't even the backup fighter. Trust me, you're the one who was coming around here with the inflated ego and the entitlement. That interim championship you won means absolutely nothing if you seriously haven't noticed yet. All your fight did at Madison Square Garden was confuse the fans. Good thing the UFC and its long-time standing champions are all on the same page. The UFC, Stipe, and I have unfinished business. It's really just that simple. Now, that point there, it kind of does ring true. I was talking to Anthony Smith on my podcast the other day, and he made this point initially, and it's hard to argue with. When Jones pulled out of the Stipe fight with the torn pec, okay, he didn't pull out. He was injured. He could not fight. Personally, he wouldn't want to fight, and the commission wouldn't let him fight either, okay? No man alive can fight with a torn pec. Simple as that. The fight was off, so he didn't pull out. That's a negative wording. However, he withdrew from the fight. UFC said straight away, Dana White announced that they were going to do an interim champion between Sergey and Tom Aspinall. In the meantime, I think they announced straight away that they were going to do Jones versus Stipe, that fight was still going to go ahead whenever Jones was ready, okay? And Tom Aspinall and Sergey, they're going to fight for the belt.
Jones and Stipe were supposed to fight. Jones gets hurt, right? 8-9 months he's going to be out. You don't strip him, take him out of the rankings after a year. So if you're Sergey and Aspinall, you're getting the opportunity to fight for the interim title anyway, now. So yeah, they're gonna have to wait until this fight happens. This fight was set up, this fight needs to happen. Two of the biggest legends in the sport want the fight, the fans want the fight, so yeah.
Right, so nothing has changed. I understand Tom's frustration. I'm not taking sides with Jon Jones. I'm not being a bad friend. But Anthony pointed that fact out, and it's true. That was the announcement. And Anthony said this as well, and I kind of agree with him. At that moment in time, Tom Aspinall and Sergey Pavlovich both just saw a chance at becoming a champion. Interim champion, undisputed, whatever. They both saw the chance to go out there and fight for a belt. So they weren't thinking about the ramifications next. They weren't thinking that, hold on, if I want to fight Jon Jones or Stipe, I'm going to have to wait a long time. They didn't consider that fact. All they wanted was the shiny belt. Okay, and rightly so, because that makes you the interim champion. It means that you get a percentage of pay-per-view points, and it means that outside of the undisputed champion, you are the champion in waiting. Potentially, okay? So now Tom's all frustrated and he's talking shit and they're going back and forth. And of course, I do understand that. But that was a great fact that Anthony made. And it's a really hard point to argue with. Now, Jones continues. He says, it's a wild world that we live in. People can be so quick to replace you, throw you away, discredit your work. That's the best thing about them stats, or just being able to see the fruits of your labor. Be an absolute savage at what you do, at whatever capacity that may be. Let the work speak for itself. Be undeniable in this world, ladies and gentlemen. Be absolutely undeniable. And he has been undeniable. He's got one loss on his record. It was a bullshit disqualification against Matt Hamill. Video coming on that soon, by the way. But this is the tweet now that I'm getting to. That's really the inspiration for this video, because it sounds like Jon Jones may not fight again after Stipe Miocic. Now, it could be him just selling wolf tickets. It could be him trying to wind up Jon Jones. Or it could be him being absolutely serious. Because the reality is he doesn't have to prove anything to anybody. That's a fact. Even though if he beats Stipe, Tom Aspinall is there. But never mind that. Let me read you the tweet. What I refuse to do is be like a lot of these other fighters who stick around too long. That just won't happen. Your boy Bones Jones over here, despite what a lot of people may like to think, I've set myself up pretty well in life. I want Stipe for my resume. Outside of that, I need nothing else from this sport. I came, I saw, I conquered. Facts. I came, I saw, I conquered. He has done so far, right? And ultimately, I always said him going up to heavyweight, I said this when he first did it, he doesn't need to stick around for a long time and defeat the best up-and-coming contenders. He doesn't need to do that. He's got nothing to prove, right? His resume at 205 was ridiculous. Comes up to heavyweight, beats Cyril, right? Beats Stipe. He needs that third fight. You have to beat somebody to become the champ. You have to beat Stipe to be considered the greatest heavyweight of all time. And then you have to beat the number one contender, right? He doesn't have anything to prove other than he can beat Tom Aspinall. Because if he does retire right now, that is always going to be the narrative. There's people out there, and I know this annoys Jones, so I'm sorry to bring it up. People say that he avoided Francis Ngannou. I'm not saying that, but that's a narrative that exists. I don't think that's true, but people do say that. As I say, he's a sensitive guy. Fighters are, especially when you attack our work. So that annoys him. If he doesn't fight Tom Aspinall, if he beats Stipe, that will forever be the narrative, okay? That will forever be the narrative that he's ducking Tom Aspinall, that he's afraid of Tom Aspinall, that he looks at Tom Aspinall, this gigantic man, a true heavyweight that moves like a middleweight, that has ridiculous finishing ability, a heavyweight George St. Pierre, right? A mixed martial arts version of Muhammad Ali. That is what I think Tom Aspinall will go down as. And that will be the person that Jones will be forever accused of avoiding in a fight. Jones is right. He doesn't really have anything to prove other than he can beat Tom Aspinall, because right now we don't know that. And right now we don't even know if he can beat Stipe Miocic. Fair play to Stipe Miocic. He came out and he said, look, listen, he meant if he wins, if he beats Jones, he said, as long as I'm victorious, then we will talk. We will sit down with the UFC. So it looks like Stipe's up for it, okay? But he's got a big task in front of him ahead of Jon Jones. But Jones ain't saying that. Jones is saying here that he very may well retire. And that's about it, because I've already said my piece. He can't retire without taking out the next top guy, right? Especially when that next top guy has an interim belt. Especially if Tom Aspinall goes out there and defends the interim belt. Let's just say it's 14, 15 months before Jones and Stipe fights. Then it'll be another 6 months before he fights then. Probably, right? Tom could have 3 fights in that time. So how on earth can Jon Jones retire when there's another active, defending heavyweight champion? You just can't do that. That is madness. And it will affect his legacy and tarnish his accomplishments forever. What do you think about that? What do you think? Listen, Jones is incredible. I'm a fan. I say he's the GOAT, okay? But things change, times change, people change. I'm fucking changed, thank God. Anyway, let me know what you think about that in the comment section, and I will see you soon.